Welcome to the Fixed Wing Guide channel with me, Stuart Lomas, and you are very welcome on this beautiful Saturday afternoon here in Manchester. We've had a lovely day. Very nice to see a little bit of sunshine after a few miserable days really here. I'm going to do another one of my oddball videos today, which people have expressed a bit of an interest in, that I talk about some of my other interests. The title of this video is going to be "I'm Worried About the World." You will obviously be aware on this planet of ours there are a number of conspiracy theorists, shall we say, who get a bit of a bad rap as far as being nutcases, and who should be carted off by the men in the white coats and put in a nice cushioned room and left there until they die. Obviously, we in Britain here, and probably in America now, you will obviously be aware of David Icke. Now, David Icke has suffered a lot of ridicule over the last few years, and so do a number of his compatriots in the conspiracy theory world. But what I wanted to do is just put forward, I don't want to be an apostle for David Icke at all, or anybody else who is a soothsayer of doom, but I want to put my spin on the things, that the way I kind of see life changing in the world that we all live in. Here in the UK, something was issued last year about the police force and how it's structured and what their recruitment policy is here in Britain. And you've no doubt seen on news around the world about the riots that we had in major cities over the last few years here in Britain, and what the police force called Kettling, where they get huge amounts of police with riot gear and shields, and they herd literally people into their existence, and want to channel their energies perhaps in the civilian world into protesting the state. And they are taking these people, promoting a job within the police force and testing them in different areas. And what is happening is that they are recruiting those that show the least amount of empathy. Therefore, what you will have are order-taking robots, for want of a better phrase, who will have no compunction if they are ordered to kettle, tase, or indeed shoot any member of the public who may be, in their opinion, running against the rule of law. Now, we're obviously aware that there are people who work on a completely different level to us normal people, who are empathic and sympathetic to our fellow man. We all know that there are people out there who really don't care, and these are the people who are now becoming the target of the police as far as recruitment is concerned. They will dress them up in combat armour, give them some form of sidearm when things are necessary, or give them a taser or a baton and a shield, and they will do whatever is necessary to bring a crowd, potentially of peaceful demonstrators, to heel. I find that trend to be slightly disturbing, to the extent that it seems to fall within quite a lot of the patterns of what's known as the New World Order. A lot of you will have heard of this and thrown it to one side as conspiracy theory nonsense, but it appears over the years to be showing its ugly head more and more. My view on this is things like, obviously we already have the United States of America, which is one block of states all operating under one flag, which are all governed by national laws, and I know they vary a little bit from state to state, but basically that is what you've got. It was designed by the New World Order elite that they wanted to spread that idea to elsewhere in the world, and the prime candidate for that, as the UK is the United States' probably oldest ally post 1776, with a room for argument that it may well be France, that Europe should be brought together as the United States of Europe, all operating under one rule of law and all living under one flag. Over the years, that has tended to show its face, laughingly known as the common market back in the 70s. Then, of course, throughout the years, it changed to the EEC, the European Economic Community, and now it is known as the EU, the European Union. The majority of European countries now have joined that union and do indeed live under one flag. Outside their own national flag, they have the European flag, which is the rectangular blue with the gold stars in a circle in the middle. And of course, they have Strasbourg as their administrative head. And they make laws that dictate to all of Europe, made by Eurocrats who are not elected by anyone. And they're just there to ensure that we who live in the rest of Europe pull into line and do what they say. We also have a World Bank, which obviously controls the flow of money as far as currencies are concerned. We also have the International Monetary Fund, which again obviously looks at banking around the world, helps to control interest rates and issues loans to countries that may well be struggling a little bit. Here in Britain, we are at the moment denying the trend to join Europe, and we're kind of hopeful before 2017 that we'll be giving a referendum whether we want to stay in or leave the EU. The trend, I think personally, is if we stay in the EU, within about 10 years there will be the name change again from the EU, the European Union, to become the United States of Europe under one president. Our Queen, for instance, or the King, when the Queen abdicates or passes on, will be a figurehead sovereign, nothing more than that. And all the countries in continental Europe will become one nation of different sovereign states or presidential states under one flag, being dominated by Strasbourg. The interesting thing, I see that there will also be a trend towards a world army. This is kind of happening because everybody who is anybody is falling into coalition to go to the illegal wars that are being fought around the world, which makes me smile because they do it under the banner of a war on terror, which I think was coined by George Bush Jr. God love him, what an intellectual colossus that man was. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, up until now, you went to war with a nation. Somebody did something that irked you, and you decided that you would go to war with them. You would declare war on them. So you have to fight against something that is tangible, a nation, an enemy, a group of nations, whatsoever, a dictator, whatever it is. And all of a sudden we've got this war on terror. What the hell is the war on terror? It is a non-tangible thing. Does that mean that we have to go to war as, let's say, the United Nations? There you see, United Nations. With anybody who they choose, or with anybody the Americans choose, for instance, to gain land, to gain oil, to gain gold, or as it will happen in a few years' time, perhaps, if the temperatures keep rising, to gain and control water. Think on that one. Might be interesting. In America, in a place called Elbert County in Georgia, the Georgia Guidestones were erected in 1980. The Guidestones are a little bit like Stonehenge here in Britain, apart from the fact that they have 10 guidelines on them, which whoever constructed them wants people or feels people should live by. If you don't mind, I'll read these to you. Just bear with me a moment. First one. To maintain humanity under 500 million. Now you think, my goodness, that's a lot of people. In March 2012, the population of the world, according to the United Nations, there they are again, 7 billion. 7 billion. And they want to maintain it under 500 million. How are they going to do that, I wonder? Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity, genetic engineering. Those who only have good genetics will be allowed to breed. Unite humanity with a living new language. Now, years ago, when I was young, there was a big push for an international language to take over from all the other languages, so we would all speak in one tongue, and that language was called Esperanto. Look it up, it failed. But the Georgia Guidestones say that a new living language should be developed and it should become the worldwide tongue. More control. They want to rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Who's tempering that reason? Whose reason and whose rules are we living by? Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. World government, world army, world bank, world court. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. So they are going to cut down on anybody who is locally in any form of power. And petty laws, they mean bylaws. They mean laws that are made in your county, by your council. You will be governed by this central world government. You will be done as you're told, because local government will not exist. Balance personal rights with social duties. So your rights will be limited as long as you do as you're told, and you will carry out all the social duties that they expect of you in your community. Prize truth, beauty, love, and seeking harmony with the infinite. What the hell does that mean? And number 10, be not a cancer on the earth, leave room for nature, and leave room for nature. Repeated. Now, in America, there is a plan. Look it up. I can't remember when it comes into force, but what they're talking about in America is that they're going to zone the whole of the United States, and there will be areas for nature only, i.e. trees, crops, that kind of thing, areas solely for animals, areas for animals where humans are allowed, and areas solely for humans. Find it on the internet. The United States of America will be zoned. There is a map and it's out there somewhere, and they're all different colours, and I can't remember what date they wanted to put that by, but that's quite an interesting one. The United States will be zoned off. People will not be able to go anywhere. There will be certain routes where you can travel, and that will spread worldwide. Trust me, interesting stuff this. ISIS. We've all heard of ISIS. These guys dressed in black who seem to have appeared from nowhere. Remember? Before this was Al-Qaeda. You remember them? And Osama bin Laden, you know, the man who was supposed to be living in a cave and yet planning and carrying out the attacks on the Twin Towers from a cave. There's a recent video somewhere on YouTube, I can't remember, but quite interesting, on ISIS. And what they're saying about ISIS is, ISIS isn't a name, it's an acronym. IS, which stands for the International Secret Intelligence Service, which is funded by, put together by, the plots are planned by MI6 and the CIA. And it was quite an interesting video, that one, because the more you think about it, they seem to have sprung up from absolutely nowhere. They seem well armed, well funded, and they seem to be able to travel unhindered. So why unhindered? Maybe unhindered because they have the blessing of very, very powerful people in this world. Who knows? I'm a little bit worried about the world, because the Georgia Guidestones not only are in English, but it seems like, from looking at the Georgia Guidestones, that these plans have been around for a long time, because not only are the plans in English, they are inscribed on the Guidestones in Babylonian, Classical Greek, Sanskrit, and Egyptian hieroglyphs. So why all those old ancient languages? That's an interesting one. Have they been around? Have these plans been around for a long time? The conspiracy theorists say that what is happening currently, the world is being forced into a state of fear. We are being pushed to believe that groups, many, one, who knows, are going to cause chaos in our everyday lives. And that regimen of fear will grow, and we will feel terrified and out of control. Once that feeling of out of control is evident, the government of the world, or at the time perhaps governments of the world, generally Western governments, will offer a solution, and we will grasp at it as human beings. That will be them offering order out of chaos, which is the rule by which the Illuminati work by, and the New World Order work by. And it seems to me over the last 10 years that everything has been going towards creating more fear, more terror in the world, saying that there are these anonymous foes out there that we have to battle constantly to maintain our freedom. If you watch a lot of the speeches, certainly by American politicians, not so much I've noticed by UK politicians, but the American politicians will always put in phrases like, we will deliver order from chaos. The New World Order will take a long time to deliver, but don't worry, Trust in us and it will be delivered. Listen to a lot of speeches by George Bush Sr., George Bush Jr., Don Rumsfeld, there's another one, Obama. Listen to a lot of his speeches and look for those key words: order, chaos, order out of chaos, and new world order, or new world order will be delivered. They will try to make us think that this new world order will bring joy and harmony to the world. It's quite interesting. Have a look at on the internet about the Georgia Guidestones. You know, try and find the video about ISIS. It does make a lot of sense if you think about it. And let me know what you think. I'm a little bit concerned about the world at the moment. It seems to be pushing. Who are we fighting? You know, it's not like in World War II where we had a baddie, you know, a villain of the piece, Hitler. Just who are we fighting? You know, why are all the American servicemen and all the British servicemen dying? Who the hell is it we're fighting? And why is it that ISIS, IS, IL, whatever they want to call themselves, seem to be growing in power without anybody knowing where they are, where they get their money, where they get the hardware that they use? Somebody must know. And it seems to make sense that the people who can make sure that their life and planning of all these attacks goes unhindered are the two most famous, most powerful secret services in the world, being MI6 and the CIA. Anyway, that's this one. I say I'm worried about the world. Let me know what you think. Put on your questions, contacts, whatever you want to say down below. I know a lot of you is going to think this is nonsense. That's fine. I sincerely, from the depth of my heart, hope I'm wrong. And I hope you're right. I really do. I hope everything's going to be fine. But I see, as we look around, that our personal freedoms are being closed in. Britain is the most surveilled country on the planet. We are on camera at least 300 times a day. 300 times a day. Why? Why are we being watched? And is the possibility of the fear of terrorism enough to put good law-abiding citizens like me and like you on camera 300 times a day, sorry. Why? Anyway, that's it for this one. Drop your comments down below, make a video, tell me why I'm wrong. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.